Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Keep the Line Moving, the podcast designed to talk about leadership, life, and inspiration. I am your host, Chris Gargano, and for episode 104, we're talking about authentic leadership. How do we get there? How do we become our authentic selves so we can lead people? Well, our guest has several tips and skills and different ways of approaching this that will help you. Her name, Hortense le Gentil. She is a world-renowned executive leadership coach, speaker, and author. Her coaching work focuses on CEOs and senior executives on their journey from hero leaders to human leaders. Her latest book, The Unlocked Leader: Dare to Free Your Own Voice, Lead with Empathy, and Shine Your Light in the World. Throughout this conversation, she will provide the keys to identifying and freeing ourselves from the mind traps that hold us back. Her first book was called Aligned. Her thought leadership is informed by 30 years in business, working across industries, including media consulting and advertising, and as an entrepreneur. In fact, listen to this. She is a certified Marshall Goldsmith stakeholder-centered coach and member of MG 100 coaches. That is a big deal. And this is a great conversation. See for yourself as we continue on Keep the Line Moving with Hortense le Gentil. Okay, Hortense, it is wonderful to see you. I've obviously researched, and I'm so glad we're connecting, and I love what you stand for. I love the work that you do, the books that you've written, and your message. So let's start from the beginning. When you, and I ask, guests this fairly often, which is, how do you introduce yourself? How do you say, hello, my name is, and then what do you say?
Yes, so I am an executive leadership coach. I am an author and a speaker.
So what do you speak about? What do you write about? What is at the core of your message?
My core message is about how to be a better leader. Means I include everybody because I think that everybody is a leader because at least you are the leader of your life. So you decide your life, you're a CEO of your life. And then how to become more of yourself, to discover who you are, your special talent, to be really connected to who you are. So my first book was Aligned, Connecting Your True Self with the Leader You're Meant to Be, was about that. The second book is The Unlocked Leader, and it's really about, yes, how do we unlock this beautiful thing that we have inside us and we didn't listen, our own talent. How do we become more connected to who we are? We dare to free our own voice, and we lead with empathy, and then everything changed because you are connected with yourself, and you are a better leader, and you are a human leader, and it changed everything.
What does it mean to be a human leader? Because that does come up in your book. It comes up in your coaching. What does it mean to be a human leader?
Human leader is being human is just being you. It's because when we are a leader, some of us, or often, we think that we should show up and have all the answers. We should be a hero. And this is our definition of leadership. But it is not true. This is not what our teams are expected from us, from leaders. They want to connect with you. They want to know who you are, because this is through our humanity that we can connect each others. I can connect with you, Chris. I can connect, with my clients. I can connect with people because I am just human. And we talk about empathy here. We talk about authenticity. We talk about vulnerability. Just be yourself. Don't pretend. This is much better.
Right. And remember, like when we were little kids, our parents would say, just be yourself, just be yourself. But in leadership, and as you get more advanced in corporate, right, or whatever it is, coaching or whatever it is that you're doing, we gain baggage, we gain uh, different voices. We've been influenced here, we've been influenced there. So, in essence, and I'm having a hypothesis moment here, it's harder to be oneself in a leadership role. Do you find that in clients that you work with, like bringing out that authenticity is not always easy?
Absolutely. Years ago, I had a client who was expected to be the next CEO of the company.
Mhm.
So everything was good for him, right? So in order to be a CEO, he had to go to he has to interview with the board members. Out of the blue, he completely changed his behavior. He started to talk, to talk, to talk, to never listen. And then of course he didn't get the job. So he came to me and he told me, I don't know what happened. He was so surprised. Nobody recognized him. And I said, okay, so we're going to figure out what happened. And then in revisiting his life, he remembered that years ago, when he was a student, in order to pass an exam, he had to be in front of an interview in front of some professors, some teachers. And one of the teacher didn't let him talk. So can you imagine, Chris? This A plus student, very prepared, wanted to expose and tell what he had to do, what to say, and then he couldn't. It was a trauma. It became a trauma for him because he was shocked. And the second thing is the teacher told him, young guy, I don't know what you're going to do in life, but I can promise something. You will never be a CEO because I can see all your emotions on your face. This poor young A plus student left school with a voice predicting that he will never be a CEO. And by the way, thinking that if one day he wants to be a CEO, he need to show no emotions, no vulnerability, no authenticity. So wrong, wrong, wrong. But he was okay. He was not really aware of it. He forgot, this time, and he did what he had to do, and he was successful until the time came when this prediction had to be faced. And then he reacted, overreacted to the situation. So he talked to be sure that nobody's going to interrupt him, and he will have the time, to talk and to say what he has to say, what he had to say. Yes, but it was not the right moment. Then what we discover is, yes, he was stuck and trapped there. This is what I call the mind trap. The mind trap was this voice. Well, now that he was aware of it, we have to challenge those voices. Is it true that you cannot be a CEO? Of course not. Relevant and helpful, not at all. So we work on that and we work on, okay, so now let it go. And when we are saying letting go means you need to have no emotion anymore when you think about the voices of the moment. It's not that easy sometimes, but you work on it. And then, so this is what I call the mind shift. You change the mind. So, and then you are able to write your own story, what I call the mind build, because you can connect with yourself, because you don't have anymore, this thing in your brain that is on your way, and this trap. And then you can connect on yourself and you can decide how I want to show up as a leader, what is important for me, how, what is authenticity for me, how I want to be remembered, what are my values. And then you really start to live your life, in fact, and to be who you need to be. And this is this process of unlocking yourself that I recommend to do. And this is what I do with my clients. And it changes your life. And it changes the life also of the people around you, because you are more of yourself, more authenticity, then people can connect with you because you have more empathy, because empathy starts with you. So you are connected with yourself, you are well connected to yourself, so you started to free yourself and be more empathetic.
And so you work with clients about understanding their authenticity, understanding what empathy is. What do you do when somebody does not understand the basic principles of your coaching, or they haven't read your books, right? Aligned or The Unlocked Leader. What do you do when they don't necessarily understand and they're pushing back on why empathy would be valuable in their daily leadership practice?
I don't think that anybody as a leader today now is thinking that empathy, we don't need to be empathetic. So I think we know why. And the first why is because this is what people, this is what people want from you. They really want to connect with you. They don't want another hero. The world change. We know that we know that we have to lead differently. Everybody knows that, I think. But it's more about how do we do it, because I think less have been said about how to do it. And then how to do it is to go to this process of unlocking that I was talking about. And I would say that maybe the main obstacle is our fears, because to be authentic, to be really yourself, authenticity, you need a lot of courage, because we are afraid. We are used to do that way, and we are afraid to maybe to fail, to face our own emotions, to face other emotions. We are afraid of chaos, and this is normal. But the work is really, each person has his own rhythm. So just respect the rhythm. But okay, let's go. Be courageous. And I think all leaders are. So that's not a problem. And okay, what I'm afraid about, what are behind my fears. Let's have this conversation with my fears, and let's go where I'm stuck. Find the mind trap, track the source, and we go to this process and do the mind shift and discover the mind build. But it's not in one day and 1 second that we do that. It takes time, and you are ready when you are ready. You don't have to push too hard.
So you've talked about the mind shift, the mind trap, and that's within your book. And you tell great stories within your book. When you think about writing that book, the second one, right? So the Aligned was the first one. The second one was the Unlocked Leader. How was the process for you? Because, I learned about you, and how was that process? What was it that said, okay, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to become a published author, I'm going to do another book? What was the catalyst to write that second book?
It was just right after COVID. I moved from Paris to New York just before COVID. And this is what my coaching this is what I do for a long time. But I discovered that at that time, people needed to be unlocked and ready to be themselves. So I spoke with a lot of leaders and CEOs during COVID, and still now. And then I thought, okay, let's write a book, because I have this process in my coaching. But of course, I cannot coach everybody, and my mission is really to help others, is really unlock themselves, because this is what I did. And I went through all the process, and it works. So I want to help people. And then I thought, okay, so let's work. Let's see how I can write a book about that, and explain the process of unlocking yourself. So this is what I did, and this is what was behind that, because a lot of us, most of us, we are locked somewhere, and especially during COVID, right? So everything increased, in fact, because the world changed very fast, and we were afraid, and this is normal, and we didn't know how to face things, and there were no playbook for that. So the only way we could do it is by being ourselves, and just telling, okay, when I don't know, I don't know, and when I know, I know. And then, okay, I don't have to have all the answers, but we're going to go all together through this crisis, and we're going to survive, and we're going to make something of it. And this is what great leaders, and a lot of leaders are great, did, in fact.
That's wonderful. So the book has been received. It was published and released in September of 2023. And you're understanding and finding out all that leaders need nowadays as a result of coming out of COVID, where we are in society. And so let's look at that, Hortense. When you look at how you have entered the world, and you're a coach, you're an author, you've been doing this many years, where are leaders now in a general sense? Did it work to get us to understand ourselves better? Have we settled into a way that, hey, we have to take care of one another? I'm being very general here, but where are leaders now, and what do they need to get to their authentic self and make sure that they're moving with themselves. And like you said about the CEO, you can do this. We can overcome what we've gone through in life, and we could be fantastic for our people.
First, COVID, I think, was a trigger for all of us and for all leaders to understand that in one day the world can change. So I think that every one of us, we came back to our values and to our true self. Who are we, and what can we do? I think most of the leaders showed empathy because they had to face difficulties and emotions of others, and they didn't have all the answers. So I think the empathetic and authenticity increased because we had to. There are no other way, to live at that moment, and to go through this crisis. And the world continue to change, and again, every day there is something new, a new economic, social crisis, a war, whatever, and you name it. And this is so difficult, so this is so challenging. So they know that they need another energy, another way to lead, and they need to be more connected with their people, with their teams, because without meaning, without be connected, because they want also be part of something bigger than them. The why behind, the leadership, behind the organization, behind what they do. And leaders, they understand that. So this is what they are facing every day, and they adapt themselves, and they try themselves to be more of themselves. But of course, they need to adjust, they need to be agile, and resilient also. So it's an exercise of every day. But again, you really compass your true north. This is really who you are. This is really your values. Sometimes we are facing so difficult moment. We don't know the answer. I remember during COVID, I had one of my clients who told me, I don't know what to do with my teams. I know that, they are suffering. Some of them are suffering. I'm afraid because I suggested to do a Zoom with all the team. And then he was afraid, and he told me, what about if somebody is going to cry, or told me that he lost or she lost somebody from his family from COVID. And I told him, there is no answer to that. You are not here to, yeah, because he told me, how can I fix it? And I said, you don't have to fix it. We don't fix human. We are just here for them. You are just here to listen. Just be here, and that's enough, right?
Great point. You know what? I have a social media post that you did, a tweet on X. I don't know if those two go together, but a post on X that you did
Okay.
recently. I'm going to read it to you, and then I'd like you to react because I thought it was so on point. Here's why you should trust your intuition. For the first part of our lives, we are like young plants that requires support to grow. But eventually, we must sprout and thrive on our own. As you evolve and the world has changed, it's time to listen to the whisper of your inner voice. So ask yourself these questions. Are you aware of the collective voices around you? Which internal voice holds you back? Are you writing your story in your voice? And then you suggested we share that. I love that. What inspired you to write that? And let's unpack that because we could do a whole podcast on that post. It's so deep in such a good way, making us think.
So we grew up with our education, our parents, our that help us and tell us, okay, you know you need to be like that, you need to do that in order to to be successful, in order to be a good leader, in order. So we have many voices, and the society is thinking and telling you, you should do that, you should do that. So we need it, like a plant, when you're to grow up, we need it. But at one point, we need to be connected with ourselves. We need to grow up. We need to let go those training wheels, and to let go the voices. And then this is what we were talking about just before. It's okay, what voice do you listen to? Are you yourself? Are you coming up and thinking, okay, I should show up like that because this is a way to do it? Or you maybe you can think I'm an imposter here. I don't know why I'm doing here. Or maybe you are angry or things like that. This is clues. They are clues that you are locked somewhere. So it's time to let go, you know, the thing and to grow up. So to and this is what we're talking about. Grow up and be yourself. Be this beautiful flower that you are. Whatever the flower is, whatever the color is, whatever be that, because this is the purpose of life, and this is your job, to do that. But again, you are afraid because you need courage to take off, those training wheels and those tutors that help you to grow. But it changed everything.
I can now see why you are a certified Marshall Goldsmith stakeholder centered coach and member of the MG 100 coaches. How did that come about? Marshall Goldsmith is arguably one of the best executive coaches in the world, not only the country, right? America,
Yes.
but and his work is wonderful, and he's so giving in nature, right? His assessments and the way he has courses all lined up, of which you are one of the instructors, you're a coach. How did that relationship come about? And it's so wonderful. Congratulations. That's such a
Thank
great
you.
honor.
Oh yes, it's a great honor. So it was now I think it's 7 years ago, something like that. I was still in Paris at that time, and Marshall at that time. Marshall is a Buddhist, so he decided to give back and to choose the 100 people in the world that he would teach everything that he knew. And I was so honored to be a part of them, at the beginning, and then I think it changed completely my life. I don't think, I'm sure, because yeah, Marshall is so generous, and yeah, he taught us, everything that he knew. So it's so important to have a mentor and to have somebody that you can with who you can refer, and you can learn from. And all my colleagues and my friends, other amazing people. It's not only coaches. You have a lot of coaches, but you also have CEOs, leaders. I met, Frances Heiselben there. I met Alan Melali. A lot of people, very well known. And but it's not about very well known. It's more about how human they were, how good leader they were, and how, yeah, they inspire us, and this is important. So I'm very honored to be part of this group. Yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. And you just used a wonderful term before we get to all star moments, inspire. So, as a leader, right, Marshall Goldsmith inspired you, and some of the other top 100 coaches inspired you. Can you teach somebody to inspire another human being? Or is that a God-given talent? Is that a something that is innate to somebody? Because I love to be inspired, and I talk about a lot that leadership is a feeling. When you're being led well, it's a feeling. And
Mhm.
conversely, when you're not being led well, that's another feeling. What is your philosophy with inspiration?
That's quite easy for me. Inspiration, it's when you are connected with yourself, because this is empathy. Because if you try hard, to be like somebody else, you will never be as good as this person. For example, if I want, to do exactly what Marshall did, I want to be a young woman Marshall, I will fail. I'm not Marshall. But if I learn from Marshall, because he understood me, and I took what I had to take. I understood what I had to understood, and then I allow myself to be myself and to use it my way. This is how I'm going to, maybe I don't talk about me, but I just want to give an example. But this is maybe how I can inspire people, because this is the same thing. All of us, we're talking about the same thing, but each of us, we are different. in doing it or in talking and interact with people. And then this is what leadership is about and inspiring is about. It's not about telling. It's about, oh, I want to follow this person. And why you want to follow one person? Take Gandhi. Why people wanted to follow him? Because he was connected to his value. He knew what he wanted to do. He knew what was his mission. And he just didn't pretend. He found his way. He wanted to, to save his country, but in a peaceful way. That was him. Right or wrong, that's not the problem. The thing is, it inspires people because you connect with it's a soul to soul connection. You can understand the person in front of you. You can relate to this person and you want to follow this person.
Okay. Are you ready for all-star moments that we do each and every week on the podcast?
Okay, I hope.
Okay. I'm going to start off with a custom all-star moment. Tell us about your competitive show jumping career when you were a child.
Oh, I learned everything about empathy and leadership there because, the horse doesn't talk. And then you have to, to be empathetic and understand and connect correctly with the horse and be sure that he's going to do or she is going to do what you want to do.
How do you deal with adversity?
I take the seven stage of grief, and I try to understand why it happened and take something from it.
How do you give yourself fuel?
Meditation, music, movies, books, listening to you.
I love that one. Wait a second. So now you got me here. What's your favorite movie of all time?
Oh my goodness. I don't know. All time. Oh my goodness. I love so many movies. Okay, one of it. Eat, Pray, Love.
Awesome. Okay. Never give up. What does that mean to you?
Take the challenge. Try to find the why behind that, and learn from it.
The value of collaboration. How important is it?
Because you don't have all the answers, so it's all about communicate with others and do everything together. I need people, you need people, and we are human beings. We need connections.
Manager versus leader. What is the difference?
Inspire, between doer.
Wow. And lastly, describe yourself as a leader in one sentence.
Unlock authentic leader.
Hortense, this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Chris. It was amazing. Thank you for the opportunity.
And we thank Hortense very much for being on the show. I have several takeaways from this conversation. Number one, she said, discover who you are. Do that introspective work to find your special talent. Connect to who you want to be. And don't be afraid to be authentic, right? Do the work so that fear is lessened. You heard Hortense. It takes work to show who you are and how you lead best, but you can do it. Number two, you don't have to be the hero leader with all the answers. Have a little bit of grace for yourself, right? Ask questions, listen, take in the expertise of others. And finally, giving yourself grace, right? Working through, as Hortense writes about, and we also just talked about, the mind trap, the mind shift, and the mind build, right? Don't hang on to old narratives about yourself. Constantly learn and reinvent to where you want to go. And the outcome is being an authentic leader, and that will help with your legacy. What a wonderful conversation. We thank Hortense very much for being on the show. And I thank you each and every week for being part of Keep the Line Moving. Please subscribe, put that thumbs up, follow us, rate the podcast, recommend it to your friends, coworkers, family. We would appreciate you. And if you did this for us, and we are preparing for season number 3 coming in January of 2025. What a ride this has been, and it's been with you. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great week. We'll see you next time on Keep the Line Moving. Every week, you hear guests on this podcast talk about some of their biggest leadership challenges. As a leader, you want to make an impact on those you lead. and reach your organization's goals, while also optimizing your time management. Wherever you are in your leadership journey, we could all use some help. This is what we focus on with our group and individual coaching services. To book a call or get more information, email me directly at chrisg@garganoleadership.com or visit our website at garganoleadership.com. For our podcast and video producer, Jack Radutsky, and our marketing coordinator, Savin Narwal, have a great week, everybody.